When we peel back every layer and get to the core of who we are, of everything that exists that you can see and you can't see, everything that is here is just one thing. Alrighty. Okay. Here we go. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Christina, and we're back for Earth Magic, an intuitive reading for the collective. Happy Sunday. Hope you're well. Hope your week went well. I hope you enjoyed your holiday. Hope you are enjoying your holiday. We're in Minneapolis as this video is coming out today. Next week's video will be featured in Minneapolis. Okay, let's do this. Our card for today is... we already got this card. This was technically on the Fresh Start video. Unfoldment. I mean, I guess I could say more to it. Okay, yes, I do have a point for this. Okay. Okay, so our card for today is Unfoldment, the Lotus. And I did share perspective on this in a couple videos ago, which I'll share here, so you can see that, which was an obvious point of unfoldment, of opening up, of, yeah. Anyways, watch that video if you want to hear that perspective. This perspective, though, today, the point that's coming up here is the recognition that there is an absolute truth to who you are. There is an absolute reality to who you are. There is one truth of you, and then everything else that we currently exist as in this world is like the labels and the things that we put over ourselves to define ourselves. And for instance, my name is Christina. I was born a female into a female body. I grew up in Minneapolis to a single mother. I mean, she wasn't single at the time, but I was raised by a single mother. I have an older brother. I am a white female. You know what I mean? These are ways in which I define myself. I'm a female. My name is Christina. I can be shy. You know, it's all these ways in which I label myself. I've experienced myself as mostly insecure throughout my whole life, very nervous around people. Also, but with the capacity to be very outgoing. So these are all ways in which I define myself, labels. You know, I'm good with money. I'm not good with money. I'm afraid of men. I don't get along with women. These are ways in which you can define yourself and say, this is who I am. But ultimately, the truth is that's not actually who you are, because at your core, there is who you really are. And if we look at just this reality in which we're currently existing within, that we're aware of, planet Earth, humans, even to define ourselves as humans is a self-definition, because at our core, we're actually, okay, here's the point of this, the unfoldment, is realizing that peeling back every layer of ourself, which is a self-definition, which is an idea about who we are, which is a belief about who we are. When we peel back every layer and get to the core of who we are, of everything that exists that you can see and you can't see, everything that is here is just one thing. Okay, I'm just going to give you a minute to let that sink in. Everything is just one thing. So the minute we say this one thing is that, and then this one thing is this, and we separate it, we define it as two different things, we've separated it. Now, I'm not saying you can't do that. You can do that. That's the reality we live in. We live in such a reality where our extreme separation is so visible. It's hard not to see separation. But at the very subatomic, subatomic level, we're just one thing expressing itself in many different things. And I feel like if we can all recognize that one thing that we all are, being the equality and oneness of who we really are, it will rid ourselves of so much conflict and anger and hate. And I mean, we still have to walk through all of this stuff as facing who we are and what we've accepted and allowed in this reality and take responsibility for ourselves. But ultimately, we're just one thing. And in recognizing that one thing, you realize, oh, this reaction I have to this person, this judgment I have towards this belief system, this idea that I have about this or that is just actually about the one thing that I am. So then it becomes about self, bringing everything back to yourself, realizing you are the one thing that exists. You are the one thing that exists. And so I feel like there might be some confusion around that. It's existential. It is an existential consideration and perspective. But when you bring that into reality, it really puts things in its place. Am I really mad at my next door neighbor for doing this or that? Is that really a valid drama I need to exist within? Or can I step out of that and see from a broader perspective that me and my neighbor are just one thing expressing itself here? And the beauty of life truly is the diversity of expression that we have. I've said this before on my channel. Ecosystems are rich when they are diverse with life. When the species that it coexist is diverse. When there's many, many, many different types of species and animals and plants coexisting. That's when you have a rich environment. So imagine the rich environment we have here in terms of the differences of perspective and understandings and beliefs. And if we can rather use that as our superpower and not our weapon of destruction, we can have a totally different reality and experience and life here on planet Earth for everyone. So that's the point. The point being, if you break everything down to the essence of what it really is, it's all one thing. We're all one thing. We're all one thing. And being one thing implies our equality. And everything that comes from the one thing is just expressing differently. And so can you find it in your heart to value and appreciate the difference of expression this point that you see before you is showing you? And how can it bring value to your life? How can you learn from it? How can you grow from it? How does it challenge what you believe or where you are standing? And can it expand your understanding and your perspective? And can it thus expand your experience on life on Earth? So that's the point I see. It's like here, it's like peeling back. I mean, these are clouds, but to me it looks like it's like peeling back this film that exists over our eyes, peeling back, like opening up and penetrating through this false, like illusory, lens that we're seeing through, because it's not the real lens. The real lens is the fact that the universe is expressing itself in many, many different ways, but it's one thing. And we are the universe expressing ourselves in one way. I'm a unique expression of the universe. You are a unique expression of the universe, getting to know itself, understanding itself, asking, who is it? Who am I? Why am I here? How did I get here? And beginning that process of being inquisitive and curious and wanting to know and finding out and aligning with the true source, the true one thing that we are, finding alignment with who we really are, which is one thing. And imagine if we all did that. Imagine if we all stood within that understanding and realization of who we really are as this one thing. What kind of creation or expression can we then embody? I mean, that inevitably is what I see we're heading towards. And someone asked me recently to share 2023 predictions video on my channel, and while I'm not claiming to be any kind of psychic, I do see that is the process in which we are walking and heading towards is the full realization and fully awareness of self as all, as one, as equal. And how we get there is up to us. It can be a challenging road. It can be a easy road. No matter what the road is, who we are can determine how we experience it. And I will do a predictions video because I do have a perspective to share. So watch out for that before the new year. But yeah, it's just that point of realizing like how we've been living on this planet has been asleep. We have been playing a role. We have been playing parts. We have been playing in a drama for and as and with each other. Oh, I am this person and I like the same boy that you like and now we must squabble, you know? Or like, oh, I don't like what you're doing and so now I have to tell you and go to court and try to, you know, bend the law so that you can't have this certain right. Like, you know, we're playing a drama. We're acting. This is not really who we are. What you call yourself, your name, your identity, it's not who you are. If it's in these physical terms, it's not really who you are, because who you really are is the whole fucking universe. And it expresses in a vast array of expressions, and that is all you. So how can we say we are just this one thing, this one body, this one personality, this one presentation? This is not really who I am. This is who I've believed myself to be, but I am so much more than that, and so are you. And so it's where we're heading, and what we're walking into is the realization and the remembering of who we are and what is actually possible for us and who we are to each other and how we actually are serving each other and how we can take this conflict and fight and transmute it and transform it into being the most supportive and cooperative engagement and relationship that has ever existed from my perspective. So it's exciting. It's an exciting time, as chaotic as the snow outside is right now. The wind just picked up and the snow is just crazy. As chaotic as the world seems, as as lost as people seem, it's not. It's all an illusion. It's all, you know, you've heard it before, all the systems are just breaking down so that what is real can, I want to say emerge, but it's not. It's always been here. The old has to break down so that we can see what is in fact really here, what is actually real. And, you know, everything else has to break down because it's not real anyway. You know, if it was real, it couldn't end. So that's the point for today. I'll share the reading on this card. I didn't read this last time, so we get to read this again. Lotus 92. Okay. The lotus flower sits upon one of its leaves, having risen to the surface as the sun. Held in the hand of God, invites it upward to the light. The unique plant is rooted in the mud and muck at the bottom of a body of water, its stem reaching up to the surface where the leaves rest quietly. At night, the flower closes and sinks below the surface, only to rise with the daylight, and once again gradually unfold its petals, its stems extending above the waterline 3 feet or more. What we learn from this amazing plant is how our own spiritual path unfolds and opens to the light, then at times gently folds in on itself for a proper rest when the daylight fades. This period is just as necessary as the growth. For it allows the plant to integrate what it has gained in the nourishment during the day. It's also just as important that it is rooted, and it is yet another miracle of nature that something so exquisitely beautiful is formed from the mud and silt at the water's bottom. Your spiritual unfoldment is occurring at all times, whether or not you are aware of it. It is inevitable as long as you put your trust in the hands of the Creator, the one who holds the light. That, to me, the Creator, the one that holds the light, that's the one thing that we all are. It's what we're all made of. It's where we all come from. It's what we are. We're all this one thing. We're all the Creator. All is one is equal. Like the lotus, your soul is always reaching for the light to fulfill its karmic destiny, but even in that process, there are periods of darkness and times to rest. It is a natural cycle, one that cannot truly be coerced or halted. It is an innate rhythm of its own, one that is unique to the being that is you. You do not need to strive or to be driven by spiritual ambition. It does no good to try to force growth upon yourself or others for that matter. Allowing is the key here. Allow the place in you that naturally wants to follow the light to do so, while recognizing that even when you have complete faith, you will face challenges and occasionally suffering. Your steady faith and love will guide you on your journey of returning to the light. This brings up the point of, when you look at the earth as a whole, humanity as a whole, you can definitely see the darkness and where we've been asleep and where we've acted unconsciously, where we've acted out in ways that maybe in a state of awareness, of understanding who we really are, we wouldn't act within. And so it's to forgive and understand that we are coming out of a state of darkness. We have been asleep. We have been unaware of ourselves as who we are, as an expression of life. And so it's to recognize that we're coming out of the darkness and we're stepping into the light as the awareness of who we are. That's all that I understand the light and the dark to be. The dark is, those experiences where you feel like you have no clarity, you have no perspective that gives you any sense of understanding or clarity or forgiveness or compassion or, hope or anything. But the light is that point of knowing yourself and knowing who you are and knowing what you're capable of and feeling hopeful and feeling optimistic and feeling determined and knowing your worth and your value and who you are as life. It's just that point of my trust in life comes from a point of trust in myself and seeing what I've been able to do, what I've overcome, and how I'm able to direct myself fully. And that's the trust that exists in life. You have to give that to yourself. But anyways, so just my definition of the light and dark. And so we're coming out of a dark phase of humanity, and now we're waking up, and now we're realizing, and now we're questioning, and now we're considering something new. And that's all that's happening here. And it's exciting. And it's not, so I encourage everyone, don't get caught up in the narrative or the dramas of the old world that is dying, and rather give your attention to the new world that is here, that is being established by every single one who's participating in it. And that's by choosing how you want to live your life and living that accordingly, and choosing harmony, choosing peace, choosing understanding, choosing forgiveness, choosing compassion, choosing to love thy neighbor as thyself. That's a choice. You're choosing to live that or not. And how you live that is up to you. That's your unique expression. But it's just that point of we create according to who we are as individuals in our day-to-day living and every moment of thought, word, and deed. And so become reflective and aware of that stuff, and you will see how you create your reality. And so that's great. That's great. That's it for this week. Thanks for walking with. If you have perspectives or insights or reflections that came up, I would love to hear about them. So please comment below. Thanks for walking with, and I'll see you next week.